Good afternoon. Hope you're all well. Thank you for joining us. It's Prananda here. Good morning if you're elsewhere. Just going to go through our checks. So just going to check that we're on there. Looks a little bit different to normal. So yeah, I'll explain it may be a little bit difficult to hear me at the moment. I'm just going to check if my volume is down a bit. Let's have a look. Yeah, that seems okay. Right, let's get into it. What you can see, this is a project, so you should be able to hear me a bit better now. This is a project then that we started during one of the lockdowns, and we decided we got, it's time that we continued it. So this is a Lovespoon. As you may know, we generally stick to a rule of making a Lovespoon from one single solid block of wood. So it's all continuous, all of these links, this is all done from one single solid block. So there's a lot of hours that have already gone into making this particular spoon. And we basically had it here, and at different times we've had it out and done a bit of work on it and then put it away and brought it back out, that sort of thing. But what we're going to do is show you now some of the carving. We'll see how far we can get today. I'm going to zoom in when I'm carving. So I'll refocus the camera, zoom it all in, and then demonstrate some of the carving. To explain what we're going to do with it then, as I'm setting this camera up, to explain, what we're going to do, we're going to actually record something for every year since 1969. So why, you may ask, 1969? Basically, that's when we started making Lovespoons. Dad made his first Lovespoon back in 1969. So what we've done, we've drawn out here all different things, and then we've used some carbon paper. So I can't see where's it. Here it is. Here's our carbon paper. You put that under the whatever it is that you're working on. Put that under and mark it out then on the wood. So that's the first part of the process that we've gone through. So we've marked it all out like so, and now we're going to start the process of carving some of the different things on here. So I'm going to start off demonstrating the carving of some text. So you can see we've already done 1969. We've got Apollo 11, 1969. A simple impression is just like a simple idea, a simple outline of the moon. So like a crescent moon. 1969, and the initials on there, MC. So I'll put it to everyone. Does anybody know what the MC stands for? There we are. So I will leave it at that. And what we're going to do, as I said, we're just going to carve out these different ones. I'm thinking, is that yourself? Thomas the Woodcarver's just walking through. Might be an idea for you to explain some of the stories. If you come round and explain some of the stories that you're actually recording on here, I'm hoping that you're able to see okay. That is the hope. Do you want to start explaining some of the different stories whilst I demonstrate some of the carving?
Well, you did explain the first one, did you?
The moon landings.
The moon landings.
Yeah, and I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm a bit concerned that you're going to have difficulty seeing what I'm doing from that angle. So if you carry on talking, I'm going to readjust the camera to get a better angle. Otherwise,
Is that in the way?
Yeah, my hand is going to be in the way of the carving, is my concern. So bear with us. That's the beauty of doing a live stream. You don't always get it right in the setup. If you explained it, I'll set up it. I will set up it. If you just explain.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know, did you show this part as well? The paper part?
I showed. Yeah, I just showed how we draw it all on there. Yes, we demonstrated.
They're very simple, basic drawings.
Yeah.
But I mean, the first story is quite interesting because you pick up things on the internet and then you go in and you obviously try and prove then that it's relevant. So the Apollo, obviously, that's had such an effect. You know, the first person to land on the moon And of course we got the initials of MC.
Yeah, so I was asking everybody, do you know what the initials MC stand for? Who they stand for?
Right. Well, that's a very interesting one, of course, because everybody else gets the credit, but without that chap, it wouldn't have happened.
Exactly.
So,
but if we go on from there, I don't know what this is. You got on here Pilton Pop.
Pilton Pop.
Yeah, so if you can
Right.
explain that one,
It'd be
what is
interesting
it?
to find out if anybody knows about that one, because Pilton Pop is linked to Glastonbury.
Okay.
And Glastonbury, of course, now it's famous for two things. In fact, there are three. There's so many things that you can put on a love spoon, but in this case, it was the first. 1970 was the first Glastonbury festival, music festival. Now, of course, it's a big deal. What's the place in America that?
You think in Woodstock?
Woodstock, yeah, it would be something on those sort of lines, I guess. But this was one of the first big festivals, Glastonbury, and
I think some of the festivals, like Glastonbury, it's a huge music festival, and I think it came about almost sort of by accident, really, didn't it? You know,
Yeah.
they tried having a music festival on a farm,
A farmer,
and now you'll get groups and bands from all around the world. You know, a lot of groups, a lot of musical groups. Then it would be an ambition for them to play at Glastonbury. So that one there, then, that's one of the stories. Is it then? Is the first Glastonbury festival? Yeah.
yeah,
There we are.
but it's there's slightly more as well.
I'll just check a comment on there. I hope you can see it. Yeah, I'm looking there. You can see the carving, okay? The carver's asking you, how was the cruise?
Oh, excellent, thank you. Yes, very, very nice. Most enjoyable. So we go to, what are we on? 1970, isn't it?
1970? Yeah.
So we go into 1970. And it's a question of choosing, 1970, I've got on here, Glastonbury.
Just move that lighting in as well a little bit so we can see a bit better. So you can see as well the process that we use for anyone who's interested in the carving and learning the carving, which hopefully you all are, or if you already do carving, like the carver, and you're just seeing the different techniques that we use. When it comes to the engraving, you can see for doing letters.
Oh, there we are. You see, history, 1970, Glastonbury Festival was the first festival was held on the day after Jimi Hendrix died.
Right.
You know, so there's all sorts of little quirky links with it. And the other, you've got the Glastonbury thorn.
So this one here that I'm carving, what is that? It looks like a leaf to me. What sort of leaf are you carving on there?
That is why that is very important, which I'll come to now.
Yeah.
I won't sort of just ad-lib. I'll definitely go to the Glastonbury thorn.
Right, so that is what it is it? That is the Glastonbury thorn?
Well, it's the hawthorn.
Right, so there we are. It's a hawthorn leaf that we're going to be carving on there. So we just started doing the detail on that. Oh, I missed a comment there, excuse me. Stephen, hello Stephen, glad you can join us this time. Fantastic. Oh, glad you can join us for the live stream. Great to have you with us. Bit of a different one today than what we would normally do, where we'd normally be on the workbench, and we're working on what is the longest love spoon in the world, basically. This one here. That is right, isn't it?
Yeah, this would be the longest in the world. It already is, because
it's already that's it. Yeah. But we're doing some of the details, some of the different parts of the carving on it. So a little bit of fiddling around in terms of getting set up, because of course working somewhere slightly different to what we're used to, having to get our position so you can actually see anything. Right.
Yeah. So why the Glastonbury thorn?
Yeah.
The holy thorn ceremony there now.
Okay.
back a bit. You never get the right one when you want.
While you're on that, one thing as well, you'll notice with the carving, some of the things that I'm doing there, I had to adapt that because I haven't got a gouge. Always looking for more gouges, always want more and more and more, you know, because it just gives you more options, more opportunities to do different things. But I made that a little bit longer there so I could get that gouge to do that cut there. So it's just a little pointer. Sometimes you have to just adapt a little bit from the drawing, from the image that you may have originally taken, just to be able to, what's the word? Compensate in a way for the limitations of your tools. So that's why we're always on the lookout for more gouges, because they can eliminate some of the limitations of the tools you've already got. Oh, just noticed something right there. Oh, the wood burning warrior as well. Thank you for joining us. I've been sewing the last few weeks or so. I can't keep up with my orders. Chicken egg gathering, fantastic. Hopefully I'll be back on the workbench soon. Brilliant. Can I ask about hooch do? What's that one there? You got me thinking now. Hooch do guta. What would that be? What's that in Welsh? Go and have a read. Watch the cables from the carver. You'll have to watch the tripod there, do?
Can I bring that around a bit?
Yeah, you can do. Just be careful you don't pull any cables out. Right, so you can see what I'm doing. In terms of carving out the hawthorn leaf, we're just doing the outline. So we're doing all of our stop cuts around it, just to get us like a basic profile that we can work from. So the idea with this is going to be a series of simple little impressions. So they're not going to be. Now you've got to go above that.
Can I ask about
So we're just doing that little outline. It's deciding as well. May have to actually even use the spiked gouge. Yeah, in like so, just to make up those shapes. Afterwards, we can steal a little bit when we actually carve into the wood. So this just gives us a basic outline for us to be able to work from. So we carry on working all the way around that surround, and we've started on the wording as well. Pilton pop. So I'll just finish off as well the N on the Pilton. And hopefully, as we mentioned, that gives you a little idea of the techniques that we use when it comes to wording. Do your stop cuts and then use that stop cut as a barrier and build up the shape. Build up the shape of the letter using those simple techniques. So there's been all change here this week in the workshop. So last week we had Nico and Sammy on their holidays, and it was Thomas the Woodcarver away on his cruise.
We got the black duck.
The black duck.
Wuch the Gutta.
The black duck.
Or the stocky black sow. So.
You got us thinking now.
Yeah.
This must be something we've mentioned previously, I'm thinking.
Glastonbury thorn, okay.
So we're just going all around that outline shape, and then what I will do, same as always, use that as like a barrier.
Okay, I'll explain why you're carving the thorn.
Yeah.
The hawthorn leaf is relevant because the Glastonbury thorn is a form of a common hawthorn, okay?
Right.
It flowers twice a year.
Okay.
So it's the first time in winter, the second time in spring, so it is very unusual. But of course, it is associated with legends about Joseph of Arimathea.
Right.
and the arrival of Christianity in Britain.
Right.
And it's appeared in written text since the medieval period. So a flowering sprig is sent to the British monarch every Christmas. The original tree has been propagated several times, with one tree growing at Glastonbury Abbey.
Right.
So
this is interesting. What was the trees and royalty and things like that? It's interesting how much significance they got. What was the one that we got offered, and they were saying that.
Well, we got it growing up in the
Yeah. What tree is that? What it is? They said that there's always that isn't it in a bouquet in a royal wedding?
You always put it in the bouquet.
Oh, what is that? Well, we got a tree here now that somebody gave to us and that's what they were explaining to us, that there's always one a branch or a piece of that one there. The black sow and the white lady.
Well, being around Halloween,
right?
The white lady. I mean, there were all sorts of white ladies with linked to ghosts and all that kind of thing. I don't know whether that's the idea.
There are a lot of different stories. I mean, in this area, there's all sorts of different stories in this area because the Bluestones, the Pembrokeshire Bluestones, lots of different stories.
That's right. So the bit you're carving there now, you see.
Yeah.
Obviously, we want to get it as sort of deeply as possible. But then you've got the Pilton Pop.
Yeah.
That's what it was called originally by the farmer who set it up.
What, the Glastonbury Festival?
The Glastonbury Festival, that was the first name that they gave it, Pilton Pop.
Right.
And then, of course, it ended up as the Glastonbury Festival. And now, of course, all the big stars appear there.
Yeah.
But the reason we put it on, apart from, it's an interesting, relevant fact, the first festival was 1970, and your mother and I were actually at the first festival site.
Without realising the significance. Yeah. I got to tell I got to tell everyone my favourite Glastonbury story. I just missed it. They were part of a horror story I listened to last night. The origins was said to be from Wales. Yeah, it sounds like
lots of white ladies.
That sounds very
Welsh.
Yeah, it does.
And spooky.
Yeah, absolutely. Not one specifically that we're familiar with, but it definitely sounds right. Going back to my Glastonbury story, there was they've had all sorts of different performers that I mean Tom Jones, he must have done Glastonbury at some stage. Shirley Bassey, they're some of the famous Welsh ones. But the one year they had Jay-Z, who I'm sure a lot of people in America would be familiar with, very, very famous, very wealthy. I think he's married to Beyonce, okay?
Oh, that's good.
And he had a song, I think it was called 99 Problems, okay?
Right.
And he was playing, and at the same time, there was our Welsh Elvis Presley, Shaking Stevens,
right?
Who is known as the Welsh Elvis Presley. He was performing at the same time, and they were all holding up banners saying, "We don't care about your 99 problems. We want to know what's behind the green door," which was one of the Shaking Stevens. That was one of his hits.
Right.
The Green Door.
Yeah.
I don't know, because it wasn't originally, because he was a performer. He didn't do originals. What are the most popular sweep angles that you use? There's hundreds. Yeah, I mean, I have to. This is the difficulty with filming something like this now. I'm gonna have to try and get in. How am I gonna get on this angle? What it is, I want to get. I'm gonna move that out the way. I want to get round this side. There we are. I can come in from there. So I've had to jump over all the benches and come in from this side. How
do I see it on film? Because that's not in the way, is it?
No, the camera's pointing there.
Oh yeah, I can see it now. I can see your chisel moving.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Favourite sweep angles? Do you want to go through a few, dude?
I don't know what you mean.
Sweep on the gouges.
Oh,
Yeah, it's Now, Stephen, I've been watching some of his videos. Some of his videos are hilarious. With Stanley, he's got a whole series like an animated videos. They're fantastic. If anyone wants to laugh, go and have a check out of some of Stephen Stanley.
Do you mean the
videos.
sweep, the angle of the sharpening angle?
No, the sweep. You know the sweep. This is the problem. He comes back from a cruise. He can't remember anything. It's like when you come back to school after the summer holidays. You've forgotten how to write, isn't it? Here we are. Thomas the Woodcarver's forgotten. The sweep. So you've got the sweep on the angle of the gouge.
Oh, like a number 9 or something like that.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Right. What was the question then?
What are some of the? Because there's so many different sweeps and things like that. What's some of your favourites?
Oh, my favourites.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, they got to be, well, the one you just picked up.
Well, our two favourites in terms of sweeps, straight off the bat, is a number 3 and a number 4. Those two sweeps.
That's the number 3 there.
Yeah. So those two, number 3, number 4, those are some of our favourites in terms of the sweep on the gouge.
Especially because a lot of the carving, if you're, like for instance, that part there, you can easily use a number 3 on that.
Yeah.
A
lot of it does come down to what you're doing and the individual carving that you're working on.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, then it's whatever gouges you've got available to you.
But coming back to your,
you'll have to do a rendition of Rod Stewart. I am sailing. See, your brain's still on
right.
a cruise.
You've got that part there now.
Yeah.
It's a shame that we could have done this much larger, but because we're limited on size,
yeah.
There's a lovely flower that goes with the hawthorn and a.
You saying you telling me you wanted a bigger Lovespoon? It's about 30, 40 foot
I know, but if it was wider and we'd be able to put do justice to the thorn, the hawthorn, because it's got a beautiful red berry and a lovely white flower.
Well, Thomas the Woodcarver, he's made a 40-foot long Lovespoon and he's complaining it's not big enough.
And the other thing we got on here, it looks like a triangle.
Right? I thought that.
But it represents the stage.
Right.
Okay? Because that was the first stage. You had this bottom, there's a line there which made the stage. And of course the stage then was covered.
Right.
And so they use a similar kind of staging because, I mean, they get thousands of people now.
Absolutely.
The first one, there was only 1,500 people.
But it's grown and grown, and
yeah.
it's become.
So,
I mean, I remember when I was in school, that was a big thing with the other ones in school. Myself, I was never that interested in it, but the ones who were into the music, they loved the festivals. And I mean, now they've got Leeds Festival here, they got Reading Festival.
That's right.
I know in America there's different ones like Burning Man and different all sorts of different ones.
So on the the difficult, not so much difficult, it's not difficult, it's just time consuming choosing what you would record for 1970. So I mean, we've come down from the moon, okay, the moon landing, we come back down to Earth to Glastonbury, and so
how are we looking on that one? I think we've got a basic impression there, haven't we?
Yeah, it's not bad. I can go over that now and make it look a bit more decent, like, you know.
You can go over it and sort it out.
Yeah, no problem.
How much depth are you thinking with?
Well, it'll be governed by this line here.
Okay.
Because
so I'm going to go and get some straight chisels and find out.
Yeah.
Could I do that with one with a slight curve or not?
What, this one here?
Yeah.
No, I think you need a straight curve on that.
You want a straight chisel?
Yes, please. But that's fairly simple because you've got one here.
Right.
So
hang on. We've got that one in. Here we go. If this one's sharp, that'll do a... No?
Yeah. No, this is an interesting one. I don't know if you noticed the chisel that I chose was much narrower.
Yeah.
Now, because I find it now a little bit more difficult. I use a mallet to do the carving, and for anybody of my age or nearer my age, Dave is using a wide chisel and he's strong and he's pressing that in and he's causing he's making the line. But for me, I would be using a smaller, because there's less surface.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing.
Okay, so this is the chisel. I'll just do a line for myself.
Yeah, you carry on, you carry
So
on.
if you was me, you see, I'd be doing a little chisel like that because it's easier to press a narrower chisel, like so, and then.
So it's when you're talking about sweeps on the gouge and things like that, that's one interesting thing, isn't it? Is there are wider gouges that plays a part as well.
There we are. So I would do that, you see, and then I come back. I'm doing this side because I know the camera can pick it up easier. So I'm just taking a little bit out. I'm almost carving back towards myself, which I don't recommend.
I'm just going to come across a little bit so I can just focus that.
Yep.
Sorry about that. That's my tripod gets a bit stuck. I'm just refocusing it so you can see it a bit more clearly what Dad is working on.
So Dave is he's in a position where he can use a wider chisel, but for me to press that, I would find it hard.
I'm thinking, when I'm doing that, I'm always thinking, how can I get on with this as quick as I can?
Exactly.
That's what I'm thinking of. It's not so much even thinking in the strength of it. And the other thing as well, this is where you are thinking when it comes to the carving.
So
the main advantage of using a wider gouge is because I do one cut, I then find where I've done that line and I follow it. With a narrower gouge, you've got to do it 4 times to find that line.
Exactly.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
So to do 2 cuts and to keep them nice and even, nice and symmetrical, is a little bit more easy. I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing when I'm carving towards myself, but there we are. It's a case of do as I say, not as I do.
So with this spoon as well, and with any love spoon, they sometimes call them talking pieces.
Yeah.
Because without an explanation for this now, we wouldn't know. People wouldn't know they couldn't sort of pick it up. It's a bit like a bit of an abstract painting, really, because people wouldn't know what it actually represented. And so this pyramid shape represents the stage, the first ever stage at Glastonbury, where the
Where the performers
played.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come in and say this was the stage.
Yeah.
Right. You can come slightly lower on that line because the stage was slightly lower.
Okay.
And then this was then a canopy covered, and it was done like in a triangle.
Yeah.
And of course, I should explain the reason for that kind of stage is because there's sometimes we get rather a lot of wet weather, and so
just a bit
with the all the instruments and especially electric guitars, you can imagine they had to be covered and so forth, and so that was that is then representing the stage. So it's a talking piece.
So just to confirm as well, I've done the stock cuts. So how are you wanting this cut out? Are you wanting that cut into?
What I'm going to do now, I'm going to get the Glastonbury.
Am I cutting into that line like this, dude? Am I cutting into this so it goes in?
I'm going to show you the drawing. Right?
Okay.
I'm going to show you the drawing.
Whilst he's finding the drawing there, I'm going to carry on.
You could do Glastonbury underneath there. If you want to.
I'm going to do pop on there.
Yeah, pop.
So.
And I should explain pop. You see, is like pop music.
Yeah.
So
that's it. Yeah, and going back to the gouges, see, a lot of it comes down to it's a lot of personal preference. That plays a big part in it. I mean, that one there, for instance, that's one of our favourites. I'll have to apologise as well. This was as close as I could zoom in. I'd like to have been able to get up a bit closer again, but yeah, that one there, that's probably our most used and our favourite. And it's a very shallow sweep on there. So, and it just depends, the different ones that you're working on. It depends
there
what
we
you
are.
need.
So-
what you need them
So
to
you
do.
can see now what we are. You see?
Right, so we've got to.
So there's the stage. Look, you see?
Okay. How do you want me to depict that on?
I don't mind.
Um,
Shall I show that to the camera so you can see where they can see where we're going?
well, the camera can see that one there. That's the stage. Hopefully, it's not glaring off there. So that's what we got. I don't know whether to come in.
But it doesn't really matter, you see, because it's.
I come into that.
That's what I was thinking. That's slightly lower there. It's and of course it's an impression, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what we're trying to do. We're making an impression, and it's.
You can make a good impression or a bad impression.
Yeah. So we're going back now, though. This is going back 50 years.
Yeah.
To the first festival.
So this as well. The other thing is because we get asked a lot about the tradition. You know, people come in here and we ask, "Are you familiar with the tradition?" and things like that. And that's a big part of the tradition. We believe. The sailors and the people who used to make the love spoons, they would put stories and messages into them, and that's what we continued then. Is we always put a little story and a message and an idea into the love spoons that we make.
But it's all, you know, it's a nice way really to sort of learn this history. Then really, it's something that it's a nice
way you can reminisce a little bit. And
the one thing that we could have also put on here, right, was that it was the. I mean, you've got the voting age, right? Used to be 21, right? And in 1970, the voting age was changed down to 18.
Which is topical now in some ways, because I mean, in Wales, I think now they dropped it to 16, haven't they?
Yeah. So I mean, you can.
The carver's asked, is the spoon serving as a timeline as well? Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
It's a sort of. It's like our. It's like that's how we use them. We're using it as a diary, but this one particularly.
I mean, for instance, I wasn't on the moon when they landed Apollo, but I was at Glastonbury when they had the first festival. Okay, but obviously we were watching the moon landing.
Where were you in with the moon landings?
Well, exactly. We were watching. I can't remember where I was, but I would have been watching.
You don't remember where you were when they?
No, sorry, I can't.
Landed on the moon. Of course.
Yeah.
I would have thought most people would. There we are. We put it to anybody who was. Do you remember where you were? Well, this is.
But there's the other little bit that I haven't put on there. We might do that later because it was the Bridgewater election, right?
Right. The first
for Parliament.
It was a by-election.
It was
the first time
that somebody the age 18
was allowed to vote.
That's right.
Right. So a little bit of political history. But the truth is, as we go, I think we are trying to avoid politics.
Well, yes, you are. But at the same time, if it's something that's really important, then you would put it on.
Yeah. Oh no, I know what you're saying, but generally, because I'm thinking we were discussing earlier on about the 1979, and for instance, my wife coming from Barcelona, it was the first time in many years they had a democratic election in Barcelona. There was another political happening here that we won't discuss.
Exactly.
So we're going through the sort of different years.
Yeah. And it's interesting for people as well. You know,
what did you end up thinking of with 1979? I know we're jumping forward now.
Well, 1979.
Yeah. What was
Yoli, your wife, and
of course she found
Jill. They came with the perfect solution.
It was Mother Teresa, didn't
Mother
you say?
Teresa
won a Nobel Peace Prize.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
we could avoid it.
Yeah. So we can have a dove.
Yeah.
And the initials you know.
Because the other thing is, well, the other thing we're doing here as well is that what you've got to remember is that we've already recorded all of these years in our family collection. Yeah. So we recorded, so I think 1979, didn't you say it was the year of the child? Is that right?
So there are certain things that we can't put on this, that we don't want to put on this.
We don't want to be repeating ourselves.
That's right. So
we do enough.
We may have chosen other things to put on there, but
we do enough repeating ourselves anyway, don't we? So we don't put. We were going to avoid that. Yeah. What about something like that?
Yeah. I mean, you could, if you wanted to. Yeah. You can take much more out of there, because that would be a canopy on the top. You see.
Right. So
you could take more out of this part here.
I'm with you. Yeah. I got to take a pen line out now.
I know. That's why I do it on there. Yeah.
Make it work. So,
and I hope that you've got the date to carve on there.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm looking at the second story now, which you haven't got to.
Right.
But I just wonder what other people might have liked to record. Something significant in 1970, for instance.
Let's go on to it then. In terms of where we go with this one, we get asked a lot. Well, people will say, "Oh, did you record such and such?" And it's an opportunity to sort of do it. So, for instance, we get asked. People will ask us, "On what Lovespoon did you record the Berlin Wall coming down?" And we've always got to say, "Well, we didn't record it." So straight away, this is an opportunity now, where we could record that for that particular year. No?
Yeah.
So this gives us an opportunity, because there's certain things that people pick up on.
Well, funny enough, when you threw me down when you said the Berlin Wall,
right?
Because we've got to look the Berlin Wall up, because I think it was 1989 thereabouts.
Okay.
So it's a bit later, so that'll come on in the next.
Yeah, no. Section. I'm just thinking though that there's certain things people ask us. Yeah. How did you record such and such? Yeah. And we always say, oh, well, we didn't actually record that.
Yeah.
So as we said, it's a talking piece.
And sometimes we don't always record on. Although we do an annual Lovespoon.
Yeah.
We don't always.
We don't necessarily record something in the wider world.
That's right. It might be something personal.
Yeah.
That we put on.
Just a little message.
Yeah.
So we did one year. What is the key to life? So it's a message. It's a story.
What other subject can you do that with? It's a fantastic subject. And if anybody, I doubt if anybody is listening from the Wales Tourist Board.
No, they don't work afternoons.
So. It's a shame that Wales, it doesn't use
the Lovespoon tradition.
And get more people carving Lovespoons in Wales to record their own theme.
And for it to become, more sort of known,
more of a national thing. Like you associate Scotland with the.
Well, I've advocated many a times. A national, you heard it here first. So when you see them, you'll know where they'll have nicked the idea from when they do this. I've advocated many times a national Lovespoon designing competition.
Yeah.
And especially with the children in the schools. And I've told different people, listen, all they do is they nick your idea and claim it as their own.
I doubt if anybody's listening from the Welsh Assembly now, because they only work mornings apparently, so they'll be sleeping this afternoon.
No, I'm
except for, of course, they're up in this. Most of them are gone on a jolly up to Scotland, of course.
Ah, of course, yeah. There's big events.
Big day today.
Yeah, they're gonna. That's right, isn't it? All the world politicians and the oil companies are going to sort out the environment. How are we looking on that one there now?
Yeah, that's not bad. We can do a couple of matchstick men playing guitars or something like that, perhaps.
So we got that one in like so, just like that in there, and yeah. So basically, what I would do from here with this particular one is very much to go over the stop cuts to get better depth, to get more depth on it. But I don't think we want to go too mad, do we?
No.
Because sometimes you start going back over and you start making work for yourself.
Yeah.
what if we went on to...
There's a bit of a confession here as well, isn't there? Because we
Okay.
started this Lovespoon
in lockdown?
during lockdown, and I must confess, we've got a little bit sort of bogged down with the spoon. So in some respects, there's a bit of desperation here now, because we want to complete it. And I'm sure other people start projects like this, and they think, oh, why on earth did I start it? But I've got to finish it.
Right.
And so we're a little bit in that sort of mode that, you know...
Yeah, I think it's a case of just moving things on.
That's right.
Because I mean, myself, see, we're not... I mean, it's not that we're working at cross purposes, but myself, I've got a slightly different idea
For the year.
for this year.
Yeah.
So we're not working at cross purposes, but I've got a slightly
You'll have to show
different
later
idea.
as well how we are holding this particular piece of wood in, Dave, as well. You can
Yeah, no
you'll be able
problem.
to, you know, pull the camera back a little bit.
Now what
And
what
so-
I'm going to do here, I know I got to carve. I've done that Pilton pop. I've carved that on. I've done that leaf. I've done that sort of stage thing. There's more, as Dad said. There's more that can come out of here. That's no problem. So we're looking at all those sort of things. We've got Glastonbury to go in there.
Oh,
but
so you're on the next one.
I'm going to move things along more
Okay.
for telling the story.
Right, well, let me show you that ship then, because I'll get the ship up on the.
And now, in terms of where you were asking about the sweep, you know, a lot of the time when it comes to the different sweep, it's dictated to by the design. It's Phyllis Cormac.
Yeah.
That's the
Anybody
story
know what
here.
Phyllis Cormac represents?
Phyllis Cormac. And what I'm doing now, again, I'm doing stop cuts, establishing the lines for this particular little carving. We're doing a little ship. Popular love spoon symbol, because of course sailors used to carve the love spoons. And I'm just establishing all of the stop cuts for this carving. So that's what this is going to be. It's a series of simple little carvings. Hopefully will come together to work as an overall design. That one there, it's quite a... It reminded me, when I saw the picture of it, it reminded me of what they call it, a tembe. Locally, they call it a tembe something. The name's gone out of my head. A particular type of boat. So we're just trying to get all of these stop cuts. This particular piece of wood as well that we're carving, it's a piece of oak, and it would be kiln dried oak, this one. Locally sourced from Coed Cymru, Welsh woods. And we know with them, if they cut a tree down, they plant a replacement. So it's a renewable source of wood. They used to run a timber store up in Haverfordwest, not far from here. Unfortunately, they closed it down. It was run by the council. So it has since been closed. But it was a place where we've had a few different pieces of wood from. It was good for any wood that we wanted for larger projects. So that's why we had a few pieces for doing longer, larger love spoons. I'm just trying to figure out the best gouge. There's a line, there's a stop cut in between. I think we may need, let's have a look. I'm missing a gouge.
Which one, Dave?
I just need, perhaps I'll have to do it with, perhaps I'll have to do it with this one here, because I'm not seeing where that gouge is. Yeah, so that can go in just for there. So we've got those, and now what we're going to do, we're going to create the effect of waves. So simple, talking about the sweep, this is a gouge with quite a sort of tight sweep on it. And it just creates that effect of chop, all sorts of little, just creating that simple impression of waves against the boat. And this is the design then. We do this quite often on Love Spoons. The idea behind it, the message is we hope that you will cross the ocean of life safely. That's the thinking behind this one here. But it's as and when we use that one for people on their spoons. I got a feeling I think a single line, I know you've drawn in a second line, but I think a single line away will be
That's
fine.
fine. I only put it there just in case you needed it, that's all.
I think a single line will look better on that particular one than two lines. So where we've done those waves, then now we're just working into that edge, into that stop cut, just to take out a little bit of detail. We can go back over this all again. So we're just doing a little bit of detail, a few of those stop cuts just into the edge. Same with the boat, use that stop cut as a barrier, cut down into the wood, just like so. And then we are using that gouge just to cut into the edge. With these little bits of detail as well, we can use that stop cut as a barrier, keeping things fairly simple. And afterwards then, if you want to, you can always put more depth on it, more detail, but it's just creating a simple impression. Why is the boat on there? Are you ready to explain?
Yeah, although we'll put it out. Does anybody know where? It's going back to 1971. So why have we chosen a ship, a boat called, it's a fishing boat, was a fishing boat.
It was used for
a 25-metre herring and halibut seine fishing boat.
Was it a Tenby schooner or something it was called? They're similar to this.
Yeah,
This
so
isn't one.
Why are we carving that? The ship was called the Phyllis Cormac. So why have we carved that on there? 1971, and it's quite sort of
It's very topical. We mentioned
topical. Yeah. So
we mentioned it. So Thomas the Woodcarver's just popped out. So all we're doing, see, we've got a little bit of depth and a little bit of detail on that carving. Afterwards, he may decide that he wants more depth on there, so we would just go further down into the wood, just work on those stop cuts and carve everything deeper down into the wood. Any thoughts? The Phyllis Cormac. Just check, see if anyone's got it. No, not yet. So we're just finishing off that one there. Again, we've got all of that work to do. I'm going to use a slightly smaller gouge for doing the letters because we've got more to get in. So we've got less space, more letters to fit in. And it's that same process. What we have is sort of standard sizes when it comes to doing the letters, the initials, and that's dictated to by the space that we got and the shape and size of the gouge. So this is, we did the other ones using that size with that one there and that one there, so slightly larger. To fit all of this in, I'm going down to the smallest size.
Yeah, I know it's quite. I know I'm giving you quite a difficult task there.
No problem.
Anybody come up with the Phyllis?
No, I don't think so. So you'll have to enlighten everybody on that one.
Carver is a spoon serving as a timeline.
Spot on.
Stephen. It was a Greenpeace vessel from Stephen.
Brilliant.
8x6 workshop. That's right.
That's it.
It was the first Greenpeace protest.
Yeah.
And the ship, of course, was called the Phyllis Cormac.
So yeah, so that was the first
everybody
one
sort of
used.
knows what's the other one I had it in my head just now. What's the one they sank? Ah, dear me.
No idea.
Ah, I had it in my head just now. It's gone.
And the reason then it's topical at the moment, of course, is because it's talking about the environment at this moment in time. So you can see that process of doing the letters.
Oh, Rainbow Warrior.
Rainbow Warrior.
Rainbow Warrior, that was it.
Sorry, I don't know the history of that. Who sank the Rainbow Warrior?
Oh heck, I'll have to put that up to find out. Rainbow Warrior.
So you can see, we just use the gouges to create that impression. And the one thing we've got to double check.
So when was Sinking of the Rainbow Warrior? 10th of July, 1985.
Quite some time afterwards.
Yeah.
One thing to always check as well, make sure you get your spellings right. We learnt that the hard way over the years, haven't we?
Oh yeah.
We spelt many a thing wrong, and then that's a challenge. You've got to carve it all back out and do it all again. For many years we had an egg cup in the house that had Soppy written on it because you'd spelt Sophie wrong, didn't you?
It says here live, Greenpeace UK, Rainbow Warrior sailing to COP26 with youth climate activists on board. So
it's actually in the news then.
Yeah, it's in the news. Greenpeace ship,
I'm sure
Rainbow Warrior to defy authorities and dock outside Glasgow climate. Climate meeting. So obviously, so when was it? I'm sure somebody sank the Rainbow Warrior.
Yeah, you said 1985.
Oh, it was 1985 sank. Yeah. Okay, so they obviously built a new one or pulled the new one, got it back up, and so the Rainbow Warrior, it's got I can see the picture on it. It's got a rainbow and a dove.
Isn't it interesting that rainbow being used again? How much does that rainbow get used?
And of course, the joy, of the site. We can give our opinions, and let's be honest. We got the royalty at the moment. They're going to be speaking up there. Of course, they've never burnt any fuel. They don't fly on aeroplanes or anything like that. Of course. That's
right. The British royal family are most definitely either carbon neutral or carbon positive, no?
Oh yeah, they must be, because they're going to speak today about the climate. Prince Charles and I don't know, Prince William maybe, and of course. It's incredible how they power their machines. It must be a real hidden secret how they manage to power all these machines without using any of this fuel that we're concerned about. So it's incredible. So they'll be telling us all today how we need to save the planet. So
you can see on here now. We're just working our way across there. I've got Glastonbury to carve on. I've got Greenpeace to carve on, and we've got 1970.
Yeah.
I got a confession as well. I got a confession with all of this, because one of the things that I find, physically most demanding is doing letters, initials. It's one of the most, I don't know what it is about it, but it's quite a challenging thing to do in some ways.
On the commercial side of it, Dave, in fairness, what we do when we sell a Lovespoon, we offer it with including initials.
Yeah.
So we do, if somebody buys, no matter what the price of the spoon is, we
personalise them.
Yeah, it's personalised with 2 initials included in the price, and the size of the initials will depend on the size of the spoon. And then the interesting part for anybody else interested in the how to charge, what we do then, we charge 50 pence per letter for every letter after the first 2.
So let's have a look. How much should I be charging Thomas the Woodcarver for this engraving so far? So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. We're up to 37 so far.
So that would be £18.
There you go.
So don't forget you didn't carve that bit today.
No, I did that the other day. But
just carve the bit you've done now.
You didn't.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 20. I'd say 22. So that would be,
we'd equate that to £11 worth of carving.
But what happens? We usually compromise. It depends on.
Yeah, if people want a longer,
if you're carving an L, you know, it's a lot easier than an S, for instance.
I mean, we try to keep our, you know, the price down in terms of what people are paying.
Well, I'm just giving people a guide.
But it is quite...
If they're making spoons,
Yeah.
they need to take account. Because what used to happen years ago, we'd have a coach come in.
First person wants Elizabeth and Jonathan.
Yeah, so you'd carve Elizabeth and Jonathan, and then the next person, they'd hear that and they'd say, oh, can I have...
This is just Stevens has put on there. Was COP 1 Noah building the ark? Exactly.
Good idea.
Yeah.
So, you know, somebody, you do the first spoon for somebody, as you said, Elizabeth and Jonathan, and then the next person wants Susan and Henry or something. But then they say, oh, can I have Susan and Henry? Oh, by the way, can I have, they were married on the 1st of February, 1980 something. So we had to stop doing that. We had to charge for initials. So we were forced into it, really, weren't we?
Is there any chance we can bring the spoon down a bit?
No problem. It's
If we can bring that spoon down
there's
a
a
bit.
clamp on there, but I can bring it down, Dave. No problem. Just slide it down.
If we can drag that spoon down and then everybody can see
Tell me where you want it.
that there, I think that would be great.
Do you want this spoon can be moved as well if I take this clamp off?
I think
can be moved that
if you
way.
slide it a little bit more, the closer we can get into that camera, the better for everybody to be able to see. That would be tremendous.
Now we've got to be careful here because I may not be able to. No, because it's clamped there. Look, you see.
Right.
It's good. But I can. I tell you what we
Try
can
it
do.
with
No, I tell you what we can do. Look, if we
Slide
move this
it.
back.
Yeah, move that back and slide it closer to the camera so as we carry on working, you can see it. See these, if we just bring that in, that's the Apollo 11 carving that you can
Right,
just see
it comes
there.
down to you now, Vic.
Yeah, move it down right up to the tripod. Yeah, whoa, that's perfect. There we are. So you can see that's where we've done that leaf, and then we're moving on to there. There's our boat, and now we go on to this one here. So we're on 1972.
1972. There it. Well,
Right.
I've got to put the clamp back on.
So right.
It's not clamped on. Don't forget.
Okay. We go slowly. We go quietly. Right. First gouge. That one there.
Well, I think I got to pull the. We're going to pull that out to get the clamp back on. Cheers, Joe.
You might have to pull a little bit of a gap in between. So again, most of 1972 is going to be an engraving. What do you want to?
I think that's about the best I can do there. If I can just go.
Slide that in between.
Is that
okay? You happy?
well?
If you're happy,
it's reasonably secure
yeah,
there,
if you're
isn't it?
happy, I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's fine. So you've got 1972. The first thing that we're engraving on
Yeah,
here
we've got something a
says
bit lighter now.
Abba.
I've had my rant about the
You've done your soapbox.
the cop whatever, and
Yeah.
so this is a bit lighter now because again it's topical because of course everybody I'm sure will know. Most people will have heard about Abba. Well, of course, you know we there's a revival, isn't there, with Abba?
Right?
Did you know that, Dave?
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah, there's a revival. They brought out a new record. They brought out some new material
Yeah.
for this year.
Okay.
But of course, this 1972 was when ABBA started, and their first song, which isn't as popular as that, it's "People Need Love." So what we're going to carve is ABBA on the top, that Dave is carving at the moment, and we'll put the song "People Need Love." I don't think the song was all that successful for them, but it's about the first one.
Got to start somewhere though.
And then down the bottom then, we're going to carve "People Need," the heart will represent the love, and there's a little cross then in between, in the heart. and that was the year that Mum and I became Christian. So obviously it's relevant to put the cross inside the heart, and then the date on there as well.
Going back though to your original 1972 spoon, sadly you were recording what happened in the Munich Olympics where they were spoilt.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
quite a.
Yeah. We on that first one we've got I think we've shown it before. I'll bring it out now. It's due for dusting, but can I just pop it on there? I think we've shown everybody before. Have I got it right? You get it right.
You've got Munich
written down the stem,
down the front, and then you got the Star of David on there as well. Because of course the Olympic Games spoilt with the acts of terrorism.
An interesting one for anybody as well. You got Wales and Cymru, because the idea of this love spoon was to bring the two languages together.
Unity.
And that's what Lovespoon is all about. You're mixing and blending the two hearts, the two personalities together. That's the joy of the
It's interesting though,
Lovespoon.
isn't it? You were recording the idea of unity.
Yeah.
An idea now that in a lot of walks where they want to do everything they can to get rid of unity.
Well, again,
don't they?
as I say,
We're getting back on politics.
well,
aren't
yeah, we are, but the Welsh language, for instance, it shouldn't be controversial. It should be, it's great if you can speak more than one language.
But it's
You
in Wales.
You shouldn't be criticised if you can't.
But exactly. That's the
it's-
thing in Wales. We've got two languages. That's English and
Yeah.
Welsh. And it's not one is right or one is better and things like
and
that.
that's what the Lovespoon is all about.
It's unity. It's
Mixing and
both
blending.
can coexist.
And being tolerant as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So you can see we're just, again, demonstrating that process of how we do the initials. We're going to finish off on that one there.
I'm very conscious as well with this particular spoon that unlike the previous one I just showed you, there was a lot of I'll show to explain what I'm getting at. This one here, Dave, the 1970 spoon, for instance, right? This is a typical. If I can push this one in the way, this would be a typical spoon where you get what I call like lattice work, where you get lots of light.
Yeah.
So that's more typical. So a Lovespoon,
It's more typical of our style anyway.
yeah, you want to try and get that light in there. So obviously, we would normally, if we were doing the ship on a spoon like
we
in
would
1970,
we would cut
we
a
would
little.
cut that out.
Yeah, we cut
and
it all
most
out.
of our spoons now, of course, have light in them.
Yeah.
Well, the saving grace with this particular spoon, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 10. Yeah, it's got 16 links.
Yeah.
To 16, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. I can't count it.
It's got a lot of links.
We got 7 to there. 8, 9, 10. 11,
So you get what
12, 13, 14.
we're
15,
getting at is
16,
that
17, 18.
with a lot of links you get the light in between the links.
There are 19 links. So when this is hung on the wall,
You get that light in between.
although we haven't carved anything much timber away from that section, the section you're working on now, there'll be plenty of
light.
light.
When it's displayed.
Exactly. So that
Ideally, we'd have a bit more light in it, but
yes.
a design like this, the nature of it, you can't go and you certainly can't get it on the scroll saw.
Yeah.
And with the coping saw,
And
it's
the other
awkward.
the other thing we would have done as well, we would have made this part here thinner.
Yeah.
So we could have cut it that way as well, but under the circumstances, we're going to leave it. We're leaving the strength there.
Yeah. So all I'm doing now, we're getting that heart shape. We're going round the surrounds of it. It's always interesting as well doing different jobs like this because of the scale, the sheer scale of this one. It's you're out of your comfort zone in some ways, but what you try to do is to treat them all as little individual carvings and just get them done as little individual bits, and then it sort of adds up into sort of a finished piece. You could see as well, for going around the outside here, where we were asking about the sweep and things like that, we didn't have the exact gouges to go around the outside, so all you do is you sort of make them up. You make them up as you're going along.
Another point I just noticed as well, Dave, I mean, I wrote that in 1972, but I can see that what we'll do, we'll rub that out and we'll raise the 19 up to there. Can you see, look, there's more room.
2 seconds. Where are you thinking?
So as you're looking, look, the 19 can come there and the 72 there because we've got a space there and there.
What I would do is I would put the people need and the heart, and then go from there and have a little look at it.
Exactly.
My initial instinct was to bring that 19 out a bit further, but you maybe. So
I'm just explaining to anybody that just because you may draw, we've drawn this in a little bit of a.
You draw it in a certain way, but the reality of when you come to carve it, quite often, we change what we're doing as we're going along.
Exactly.
There's a lot with carving. We don't often mention it, but we do a lot of improvising really as well. That's just something that we tend to do. Right, so now what we're going to do is just take a little bit into that stop cuts, like so, and then back the other way, because the next thing I want to go to, I know I've missed little bits out of each and every one, but I don't want to spend too long on any particular year. So it's just to give you an idea for each one, because the next one I thought was, I like this next one, because it's, if we can sort of tie two stories together in one symbol, we do.
You like that one?
I like that one.
Yeah, it is a nice one, fair play.
We missing anything? Definitely need some different size. Oh, Red Viking, hello, thank you for joining us. Design change as you go. As it would, exactly. Things change, things adapt, and we sort of evolve it, and as we're going along, we basically working on stuff to. We're trying to get it so it does actually, it works basically. So we've just moved across to there. Bear with me while I refocus the camera.
It's still picking up, isn't it? That's good.
I think so.
Good.
We got that in the centre. Yeah. It's a little bit small than I'd like. Perhaps if we do some more on this next week, I'm not sure if we're going to do some more on next week. But if we do some more on it next week, I may put a longer zoom on there so we can get in a bit closer. But that's the limit of the zoom on that one there. If I start carving and you start explaining.
Okay, you may as well, when you carve that one, look, the O may come down there a bit further away, because you're going to carve a line in there.
Don't worry, I got a plan.
You've got a plan?
I got a plan.
Okay, I'm just concerned about the O.
Yeah, don't worry. My plan probably won't work, but we'll
okay, so we're into 1973, and what we've written is first degree and red rum.
So I reckon you should leave it there. Leave it there now. Anybody get that? What's the two stories? First degree and red rum.
Okay, I'll have a look at the computer if anybody comes in with the story.
See if anybody comes in with the answers for those ones. What are the two stories being recorded? First degree and red rum. Who's going to be first to get it? It'll be we'll have to award whoever gets it first, the first Lovespoon Workshop degree. What do you reckon? So you can see again, we're getting that outside, that outline.
So what are we representing?
That outline shape, that basic outline.
Murder.
No murder.
No, no murder.
There we are. So it's not that one.
But we'd be interested to know where we get, you know, the Shining. Ah, we've got it here, the first one. Oh, it's Stephen's 8x6 workshop.
There we are, top of the class
Yeah.
again.
We're not going to tell you yet, though. Does everybody else see this?
Yeah, everybody can
there
see
we are,
the.
folks. You've seen it then. Open University.
Yeah.
So why Red Rum?
So it was the first degree. Would it have been the first degree course started?
No,
or
it was
first
the
degree
first degree
awarded. Was it?
awarded.
There we are, by the Open University.
And that was Harold Wilson, the
Yeah.
Labour Party.
Yeah. There haven't been many Labour governments since then.
No. Open University. So why Red Rum? Much more difficult, perhaps.
And for anyone in the US, possibly wondering
Very difficult.
who or what was Red Rum.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
There we are.
Yeah.
So if you're in the US, you possibly don't even know Red Rum. We'll give it away, the shape here.
Yeah.
If I say the shape, that gives away what or who Red
It's a
Rum is.
horseshoe shape.
It's a horseshoe. But it fitted, the reason it fits in, see, because the Open University, they had that O and the U, or they have, that's their logo.
Yeah, an O
Is
and
that-
a U.
O and U shape. So has anyone got it with Red Rum?
Oh, Red Rum is murder spelled backwards.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Really? I never even read
No.
it. Who said that in there?
You stunned us.
Well,
we're
of course.
absolutely stunned.
It never registered though.
Red Rum murder.
Who said that?
That was from the Carver.
The Carver.
Red Viking 82. Well, it's a racehorse.
Yeah, spot on.
Was it his first Grand National win? It was, yeah.
It was indeed. The first time Red Rum.
Possible Grand National. Showing my age now.
Yeah, Red Rum. First time won the Grand National. Because of course, probably the most famous. What the heck just jumped in that tree?
It's a J.
Hey,
A J.
you sure?
Yeah.
I thought it was like a sparrow
Oh.
flew in there. I just looked out the window. I think I saw a sparrowhawk jumping in there. That was a big bird, whatever went in there.
Have you seen a J there before?
I have seen the jay, yeah.
And that wasn't a J, was it?
It looked pretty big to me.
Right.
Looked a bit bigger than a jay,
Okay.
but I may be wrong. So yeah, Red Rum, a very famous horse. One of the most famous race horses ever, really, Red Rum, isn't
Well,
it?
yes, it's the only one that's ever won it 3 times, I think.
Right. So won the Grand National. The only one that's won it 3 times.
Yeah.
And how long they've been running the Grand National? Probably about 400 years now, isn't it?
Not quite as long as that, but
It's not far.
no,
It's not far off.
I'd
Is
say
it?
it's more 200.
I tell you what, you'd be surprised. But there we go. You're going to have to find out now. When was the first Grand National?
Oh, boys.
It's turning into a weekly quiz show. So what we're doing there now is just getting that shape round the outside. So we've done the stop cuts, and then the usual style that I use is to just bevel around the edges. Question I got as well with this one here: are you going to put Are we going to put a few little indents for the horseshoe
Which
shape?
again, we could ask advice on this, because how many? I mean, we always do a uniform number of nail holes
Yeah.
for the horseshoe, only because it's symmetrical. But if you're a horse person,
You do more on the one side than the other, don't you?
more,
My
holes
understanding,
on the one
because I
side
always ask,
than the other.
well, I always ask as well, is it more on the one side or the other? And the answer that always comes back is it depends whether it's the left foot or the right foot.
Right.
Right, so what we've got,
Red Viking, great horse, have dealt with some of his offspring.
wow, brilliant. Yeah, very incredible. Absolutely incredible. Must be incredible as well then There we are. You can advise us. You can advise us on the horseshoe. What's the correct way of doing it?
We got your Red Viking 82.
Yeah.
1839 was the first.
1839. Ah.
I thought so.
I was going back too far. I knew. I just know some of the horse races go back a long time. I knew that much, but I thought it. Is it the oldest horse race in the world, the Grand National, or is it?
I wouldn't have thought so, but you never know.
Because they're amazing, isn't they? Some of the, because they have the different ones, the King George and stakes and different ones like that.
The
Derby,
of course, and you got the Kentucky Derby, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's, but you know, I hope you can see. You know, we put. You know, we try and put a cross section of items.
And that's. I mean, again, coming back to it, that's what the Lovespoon then is all about. You know, it's getting that story in there, getting that message in there, and you know, you're creating a little bit of a talking piece for people, and you know, it's people. That's what happens when people come here. They say, "Well, why have you put that on there?" And then you can explain the story to them, and then be, "Oh, yeah, I can see where you're coming from now."
And the most important story here is that your mother and I got engaged in 1969.
Yeah.
And so from there on, all these things, it's still a Lovespoon.
Yeah.
Because all these things we've sort of lived life together through all these things, and that's the nice thing. Although you put in other things on the spoon, it still remains the Lovespoon.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got, see, what I'm looking to do, see, we'll just drop in that level down a little bit.
We've got one here from Red Viking 82. Ledger Stakes is the oldest.
Ah. No, the horse racing, incredible in terms of the history. So I thought something like along those lines, and then we just put that impression of the O.
Yeah.
Something like that there. How are you thinking? What are you thinking?
What am I thinking? I'm just thinking the fact that, you know, horse racing,
There we are.
there's quite a serious side to it as well, because it introduces gambling.
Yeah.
And of course, through my life, my father he was a big gambler.
Did you ever bet on red rum?
I don't know. Strange thing is, he hardly ever bet on a big race. He followed.
He bet on everything else. Huh?
Yeah. And so, you know, but again, it brings, when you're carving and you're thinking about something like this, it helps you bringing back memories.
Yeah.
He used. I'll tell everybody a story now. We used to go to Chepstow racing, and he used to take me to the racing. And this one particular day, in Wales, we used to have athletic. It was the Welsh Games. We used to have athletic meeting in Maindy Stadium, Cardiff. Another point there, Maindy Stadium. I remember an aeroplane crashing there. Your mind goes through different sort of phases, and you remember different things. Anyway, we went to Maindy Stadium now to see the Welsh Games, and then afterwards, as a bit of a treat, he said, "Come on, we'll go down the dogs tonight, but don't tell your mother." So we went to. If anybody's watching the match on Saturday between the All Blacks and Wales, the old stadium
the dog track
where they used to play the internationals was called the Arms Park, and around the Arms Park was a greyhound racing track, and so that's what we did. We went to the Welsh Games, the athletics, and then we went from there to the dogs. And he said, "Whatever you do, don't tell your mother." So of course we went to the greyhound racing, and nothing was said, fine, great. And then a few weeks or maybe months later, or it must have been just weeks actually, we were watching one of the internationals on the television. And my mum and my dad, we were all sitting there watching the game. And I said, oh, that pitch, I said, it looked great, didn't it, Dad? And he looked at me, and you can imagine, you know, the look he gave me, because my mother straight away picked it up. Where did you see the pitch? You know?
So you giving the game away?
Yeah, you bet.
You just, as you were talking, you remind me of something else. Then gone to the dogs.
Gone to the dogs.
They use it as an expression. Gone to the dogs. So as you were talking, thinking about gone to the dogs, where that expression comes from.
I don't know whether that's the same link, but
I don't think it'll be the story about Grampy. I don't think.
I certainly. Will you be doing in-house courses again anytime soon? Oh, sorry, we got somebody saying. Legislatively, because we are somebody contradicting. Sorry, the Doncaster Cup was a decade before that. Dear me.
But what was that about courses?
Hey?
What was that about courses?
Courses.
What's this about in-house courses?
The carver. No. Red Viking 2. Will you be doing in-house courses again anytime soon?
Right. Truth is, on that front, if you want to come in and you want any sort of help and things like that, we advise, we help. You know, we help. We can give you sort of direction with things. The truth is, health and safety dictates. And our insurance and all the rest of it, that we're not allowed to do it. So we used to do it years ago, but we can't now. But if you're doing carving and you want a bit of direction, you want a bit of help, you want ideas and stuff like that, come down. Bring anything that you got in the way of tools. Bring any projects with you.
Yeah.
Come in, and we're more than happy to help. It's completely free. Come in and have a chat and. Anything you're not sure about, anything you want to know, anything at all, let us know. And we're more than happy for you to come down, and we, you know, things like designing or all sorts. Just pop in, and if we can help, that's the only thing. It's sometimes worth giving us a shout because we have groups in. And when we got groups in, then we give them a talk and a demonstration. So sometimes we're busy with that sort of thing. But pop in and.
So we're seeking help for the horseshoe, aren't we? How many studs we should put on it?
Yeah. But come in. And
I guess we go with 7, does it, Dave?
Yeah,
3 on each side and 1 down the bottom there.
We'll stick with our simple impression as opposed to an accurate.
Yeah. It's only about, what is it? Oh, barely. It's about 1 in about 500 that ask you for.
Yeah, most of the time. It's only for somebody, you know, working with horses that they are wanting it done properly. Most people prefer the symmetry.
Yeah.
There we are. So we're making progress. That is just a little bit of carving today, just a few simple ones. As I said, if we're going to carry on using this one for demonstrating, I'll probably put a longer zoom.
I'll get the shellac as well, Dave, because it'll bring out the carving and it'll explain.
Nothing sort of as well, nothing too complicated in the carving, but just gives you an idea. We just start doing the red run. We'll start carving on there, but just to give you an idea of how we go about the process of carving. I am looking for a gouge. Typical, you can't see the, pardon the pun, but the wood for the trees. So we got the back. That's the back edge. There we are. I'll just do a little bit on red rum, and then you can do a little bit of shellac.
Okay.
Do you want to sand down some of the pencil marks? Or the only problem is he's doing that.
We still need them, don't we? I was just going to shellac the sailing boat, the leaf, and a couple of things like that. Just to.
So once again, as well, that's fine. Yeah, we'll put some shellac where you think we'll wait. I'll carve this one first, and then you can do it. Yeah. once again, just showing how you do the different letters. So we're using the different shaped gouges just to build up the different shapes as we go along. One little tricky part with this as well, and one thing worth noting with this demonstration, it's not straightforward with the carving. Reason it's not straightforward with the carving is because all the carving is cross grain. So normally we're carving with a vertical grain.
Yeah.
With this, everything is cross grain. It's just the nature of how this project has to be done. You're always working cross grain.
And there's also, when I started drawing it, I realised that my drawings were too big, too wide, so I had to shrink them in because we've only got so many surfaces that we can carve so many symbols on.
And there's little things on this, like I've carved a couple of roses and things like that on it as well already. So
yeah,
but I think I did my roses the other way round to make the carving a little bit easier. There we are. That's the red rum. Thinking as well, horse races, of course. See, did they do a film or something about the horse racing locally here? Because there used to be Tenby races, but it was all stopped.
Yes.
Because there was a bit of controversy. What's it going back 100 years?
Oh, easily. Yeah.
And there's a pub still locally, isn't it? Named after the horse in New Hedges.
Yeah.
What was the horse? The something
Galloping Major.
Galloping Major. That's it.
Yeah.
Named after the horse, where there was a bit of a betting scandal, wasn't it?
Yep.
To help out though one of the riders.
That's right.
There we are. Do you wanna? What I'll do is
Bit of shellac.
a little bit of shellac on there.
So I mean, this would be shellacked. You've got the moon coming out there.
Right, so hang on 2 seconds. I'll just do a bit of camera work so everybody can see. There you go. So you can see, just put a little bit of shellac just to bring that out there.
Okay, we'll do this bit now that you did this afternoon.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing with this one here. It's that golden colour.
Look at the lovely medullary ray coming through there.
So that'll be a beautiful.
Is that highlighting it a bit better?
It's coming out nicely, yeah.
This will be interesting. Oh, sorry, I forgot this one. That one there, and of course we've got Abba coming in there. And then we got the university.
It's always a nice part of the process then is putting that shellac on, and you start to see it all sort of coming together. What I will also do as well, we will just, for those of you who might not have seen it, I'll just come right the way out. So you can see this Lovespoon, it's massive. It's when completed, it'll be the longest Lovespoon in the world. So you can just see Thomas Woodcarver just working further down the spoon, just in there. Yeah, and that's coming together. That's the process. I don't think I've missed anything. You'll have to let me know if I have missed anything. What I will do as well, because some of you may not have seen this before, you'll have to excuse the lighting because you won't be able to see all of it clear. But just to finish off, we just go round. There's Thomas Woodcarver. Say hello to everyone.
Pronanda.
Pronanda. And then you can see these are our spoons in our family collection as we go in round the room. And that is that's what we got on display here at the Lovespoon Workshop. go. And this, that would be where you'd see as you're coming into the workshop. And it go underneath the camera, or try to, and then be round in this direction, like so. There we are, and that's the workshop. I think I just came into shot there. You can just see me ducking the shoulder underneath. There we are. Yeah, hopefully that's interesting. Let us know as well any questions or anything. If you are interested, if you know want some help with the carving and things like that, feel free to pop in. We're always sort of happy to help out. We will have our weekly uploads. Do you want to come round? Yeah. We'll have our weekly uploads on Wednesday. I think, off the top of my head, I think it's a scroll sawing video. We're starting now to look at sort of Christmas stuff and things like that. I know it's a bit early, but if anybody, our thinking is if anyone wants to make anything for Christmas, we need to get it sorted sooner rather than later. We started doing those YouTube shorts as well, just basically a way for reaching out then to other people to see if they're interested in the carving and the scroll sawing, trying to encourage more people to have a go at making stuff. Thanks as always for joining us. Hope it's useful, hope it's interesting.
Hope so.
And hope you all have a good week. But thank you all again.
Banana.